I'm Matt Schubert with Planned.
Hi, I'm Ian Murdock with Mortgage Trust.
When it comes to reverse mortgages, I know there's often kind of a negative connotation around the reverse mortgage. What are some of the most common myths that people have about reverse mortgages?
I'm glad you asked that, Matt, because that is one of the biggest things that I have to overcome in my conversations with people is talking about all of these things that they think are negative and dispelling some of those myths. The first myth that I think is most prevalent is that the bank owns your house and that all of a sudden you lose control of your home. And if you think about it, having a forward mortgage, the bank owns a portion of your home because until that mortgage is paid off, you're not the full owner of your home. The same thing exists with a reverse mortgage. As long as you have a balance on that reverse mortgage, you're not the full owner of your home. And the bank owns that one portion. But there's all this other portion that is equity still, too. So you are still the owner of your house, and you have a debt upon your house that if you satisfy that debt, the home becomes yours. But you're fully in control at all times. The second myth is related to that first myth, and that is that you're somehow locked into the reverse mortgage, that you can't sell your home, and that you're, again, losing control. But that also is not true because you can sell your home at any time, satisfy that debt, and walk away with the equity that exists.
Myth one, myth two, settled that you do retain control of your house with a reverse mortgage. You're not giving up control by doing this. What are some other common myths that you come across?
The third myth is that somehow there will be a negative impact on one of the members of a couple, causing them to be somehow kicked out of the house when one of the members of the couple dies. There are protections around that. The two members of the couple are both qualifying for the mortgage. They're both able to stay in the home. The reverse mortgage is only payable once the last member of a couple dies or is no longer able to occupy the home. There were situations in the distant past when FHA allowed for just one member of a couple to qualify for the reverse mortgage. And they would do that because that older member of the couple would qualify for a greater amount in the reverse mortgage. The younger member of the couple, in that case, was not put on the mortgage, leading to a negative effect when the older person died and the younger person had to then sell the home. That was seen to be an unfair situation, and FHA did away with that about 15 years ago. And moving on to the fourth myth that exists about reverse mortgages, I would say that is that the heirs somehow lose out on the remaining equity in the home. And that kind of goes to a point that I made earlier where a mortgage balance exists on this home. That mortgage balance is growing. Once that mortgage balance is satisfied, then the remaining equity is either the property of the borrower, or if the borrower has died, is the property of their heirs. So if we have a situation where a home is worth $1 million at one's death, and there's a $600,000 balance on the reverse mortgage, once that $600,000 is satisfied, that additional $400,000 of equity goes to the heirs. That satisfaction of that mortgage can be done by selling the home, one of the heirs deciding to buy the home and refinancing that $600,000 debt, or they can just walk away with that equity. The heirs do not lose out in that situation. One way of thinking about the reverse mortgage is to think of it as a way of gaining access to all of the monies that a person or a couple have accumulated in their lifetime and utilizing it for their own benefit. That could take the form of fully utilizing that line of credit and living off that money. It could also take the form of using that money to help your grandchildren attend college, or any number of things that result in you having a more full and rich life as the owner of a home and utilizing your money during your lifetime. I think where things get a little blurry is with heirs having expectations of inheritance that are not fulfilled. And that's a more societal issue than an issue of finances. For instance, my parents have a reverse mortgage on their house. I helped them obtain it 6 years ago. By them having that reverse mortgage on their home, I know that the equity that I and my siblings could inherit is diminishing over time. However, I also know that my parents are having a much richer life, being able to use that $2,200 a month that they could have made a mortgage payment with to live a better life and to travel and to feel more generous with giving. And I feel that that gives them a better quality of life. And I'm happy as their heir that they are using that money to their benefit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those are definitely assumptions that I made when it came to reverse mortgages. I think there's one more myth you had, a final myth. What is that final myth?
I would say myth number 5 is that the reverse mortgage is only utilized by people who are desperate, that it's only for these situations where the reverse mortgage is your very last option for gaining access to money. Otherwise, you'd end up on the streets. And while it does work in situations like that and helps people who are desperate, I see its value as a financial tool. And I feel that that is the greater value that it has. A financial tool that can be utilized by savvy people who understand that this is just one other tool in their toolbox for living a rich and fulfilling financial life. And looked at that way in the clear light of day as not a scary thing, but just as a normal thing that can be utilized, one can see the reverse mortgage as more than just a one-trick pony. There's not just the one thing that can be used for. It can be used in all the ways that I've described today. Things like sequence of return risk, giving gifts to family, using it as a cash flow tool to manage your assets in retirement. Those are the ways that smart people use this.
No, that's great. This has been extremely insightful for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. I've learned a ton about reverse mortgages. Ian, I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us and giving us all this valuable information. If anyone has any questions, wants to learn more about reverse mortgages, or might be interested in one, you can reach out to Ian. Or if you have any financial planning needs, you can reach out to myself. All of our information is down below. Ian, again, thank you so much for coming on. It was really great talking with you.
I agree, Matt. It was a great conversation, and I hope that it helps people to understand more about reverse mortgages. I know it's a complex subject, but I hope that this has helped to make it a little more simple.